All right, guys, I think let's go. Today we're talking about DAOs in general. I titled this space, the state of the DAO. In general, we want to explore DAO origins kind of as a recap. We want to discuss kind of the distinction between a DAO and a network state. What is that? Is there even one? That's something that I'm curious about because I know that DeanTheMachine talks about that, and I'm actually a little fuzzy on the difference there. Then, of course, our guest today is Dean's List DAO, and so I'm really excited to hear what they're all about. And then, of course, we are Tokenomics DAO hosting this space, and so for us, tokenomics is a big focus, or is actually our entire focus. We try to learn all there is to know about tokenomics and how you can use it, and in this case, how you can use it to make your DAO community stronger, how to use incentives to grow, and how to use incentives to achieve the goals that you have in Web3. And so, yeah, up here with me is DeanTheMachine and Whale's friend, and then we have DeFi Vaults as well. So more than happy to have a open discussion with all of you guys about this DAO / tokenomics / how to make the world a better place topic. Yeah, so first I'd like to welcome DeanTheMachine, and maybe you can introduce yourself quickly, and then the other two also please feel free to then jump in and introduce yourself.
Thanks for that, and happy to be here. I'm active in the DAO space, very much with Realms. Was one of the co-founders of Grape. Now one of the co-founders of Dean's List. Very active in the DAO space, primarily on Solana, like almost everything on Solana. But also now we're branching out a bit into Ethereum. And yeah, happy to talk about everything related to DAOs.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for hosting these spaces. Whale's friend here. My journey is also really closely related to DeanTheMachine. Together we've gone through Grape, together through Dean's List and various DAOs. And we've played with tokenomics, with bonding curves, with backed tokens, with so many things, and we have good experience, and we can share lots of valuable lessons that we learn the hard way.
Hey, what's up, guys? DeFi Vaults. I've been in Dean's List for a couple months, and just had the experience of joining something, being a new member and starting initiatives, and just seeing how DAOs work and seeing how when you give your attention time, you get the same back.
Okay, that's cool. Well, it's always good to hear about positive experiences in the space, and it's I think a perfect segue to so I have this agenda in front of me. Let's start in general, right? Let's start on the high level and then drill down. I'm super excited to learn more about Dean's List, but let's keep that kind of for the middle of the talk. So, DAO origins in general, right? I mean, DAOs are mostly known by DeFi protocols due to the fact that a lot of tokens have become governance tokens, right? And so that means by making a token a governance token, sometimes the motivations can vary. Most certainly making a token a governance token is to give it a utility, to make it a utility token, which then can help you potentially make it not be classified as security. However, of course, there's a lot of discussion about that, if that's sufficient and so forth. But that set aside, right, making tokens have the governance utility then, of course, creates the need for a community that actually can govern. And through that, in a way, the DAO was born. So DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And there's a good chance that my brief explanation has holes. So I'm more than happy to have any of the other speakers plug the holes in my current explanation. But so, yeah, so DeanTheMachine, maybe you could elaborate a little bit and maybe fix my mistakes of anything I just said. So DAO origins in general, where do they come from? What do they do? What's the point?
I think you did a great job. What would I add to that though? For DeFi protocols, it does make sense that there needs to be some sort of governance, because there are going to need to be things that have to be updated over time, and the true spirit of everything we're doing is that they're decentralized. So there are going to have to be updates, and it has to be done in some way to be considered decentralized. Now, I do hear you on a few of the concerns, right? Where it's like, well, what's the distribution of that token? What the concentration of it? So it's a wide space, but there's a reason for it. I don't think that the issues are around the tools. I think it's more about having proper frameworks and being able to have priorities like quorum, for example. Quorum is how many people are active in voting. One of the biggest problems for majority of DAOs is quorum is very low, and I think that's a symptom of high speculation. So if you make your token initial DNA have people that do want to participate in governance, what you naturally see is there's less speculation, because there's a higher quorum, as a representing that people are using it for what it's intended. But yeah, the tools, they're definitely needed, and it's important to use frameworks and good tokenomics like you guys do, to really extract the full value.
I'll disagree a little bit on what you say. I think what Tokenomics said is accurate, but I think it's half the story. I think that yes, there is a need to create a token for usually fundraising reasons, and in order to avoid some kind of illegal activities, you'll somehow call it a governance token, even if there is no real on-chain governance involved, or even if the distribution is not adequate or not wide enough to actually call it a decentralized organization. So yes, there are DAOs that pretend to be DAOs for legal reasons, but there is no decentralization baked into them. On the other hand, there are DAOs like investment syndicates that want to pool money. There are DAOs that actually use governance tokens for on-chain decisions, and there are, as you said, DeFi protocols that have completely given the upgrading of their contracts, their smart contracts, and their code to on-chain decisions made by a DAO. So yes, there are DAOs that launch governance tokens to avoid sanctions, but there are also real DAOs, not chat communities or make-believe DAOs, that use governance. And I think Dean's List is one of our most successful examples yet of a DAO that is not using its token for speculation, not using its token for rewards, meaning that if you're part of the DAO and you work for the DAO, you're going to get USDC. You're not going to get our governance token, so you don't have any incentive to sell it to make some kind of money for the time you spend working for the DAO.
Yeah, that's interesting. DeFi Waltz, you have something to add?
No, not necessarily. I think pretty complete at this point.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks, Whale's friend, for completing the story. I also felt like I was only hitting on half the half the point. That's why I said it like that. And I'm super curious now to learn more about the Dean token. But before we turn to that, let's actually dive into kind of this thing that I think you guys post about a lot, and of course, like this buzzword, I guess, like, or buzz phrase, like the network state is out there, especially since Balaji wrote the book on it, which I have to admit I haven't read. I need to put that up on my list, on top of my list, I mean. But in general, I mean, the concept of the network state is somewhat clear to me. However, I don't know where I would drive the line. Like, is the network state something that DAOs exist in, or is a DAO a network state? So maybe you guys have thought about this more than I have, and maybe written about it. So maybe you guys could elaborate on that a little bit. And yeah, let's kind of dive in there. So maybe you could, DeanTheMachine, maybe you could tell me what you think, what a network state is, and how you kind of distinguish, or how you define it.
Yeah, I take my definition directly from Balaji. You know, one of the first things you're going to need is to have a group of people. There's going to need to be some common enterprise, and usually there needs to be, you know, some sort of GDP associated with that, you know, state's activities. Eventually, that group of people starts accumulating land physically, and the end goal is to be recognized as a nation state, but you know, primarily distributed using decentralized technology. So I don't think all DAOs are network states. You know, so like, you know, we can get more into it with Dean's List later, but you'll be able to, you know, we have, you know, the verifiable on-chain metrics to look at that say, okay, yeah, this is what a network state is supposed to look like.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. So how do DAOs, I guess, specifically expand past governing a protocol and then transition into the network state? I mean, you kind of outlined like the high level, but like maybe you can describe how Dean's List, for example, is aspiring to do that.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I focus on one comment, which is this is not for all DAOs. So, you know, a DeFi protocol, it won't be transitioning into a network state. It's possible, but from what we see so far, they live very comfortably as you know, DAOs for a protocol, which is, you know, to focus on adjusting those protocol parameters. For Dean's List being a service DAO, that has much more of a network state applicability, because this is a group of people with a very niche but, you know, powerful common view on, you know, how they see technology and how they like to spend their time. You know, I think with DAOs, you have to organically be interested. You have to have a passion around what you're going to commit your time to, and it represents a new opportunity for people to, you know, find people that they resonate with, and eventually create this concept of a state that isn't tied by physicality, by your physical location. You'll be able to be part of a state of people that think like you and you know, share your views, and you can work together on a common goal, which is, you know, what we're doing at Dean's List.
And to add on this a little bit, what makes Dean's List resemble more of a network state, and the keyword here is the word state, not the word network, is that you can add elements that are going to benefit the whole of the citizens of the DAO. Such things such like taxation, where every product that the DAO sells has a tax that is again distributed to those that are selling the product. And then there is this kind of social welfare, let's put it like that, where resources are going to be allocated where they are the most productive, and taxation is going to be taken from them in order to be allocated to other tasks that are not as successful and are not generating as much income. And in the end, the state is complete because there is a common treasury where all the citizens are voting for. Just to bring it a little bit closer to what really a state is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, so within Tokenomics DAO, we are also kind of doing that, but I guess we just didn't do it in the same understanding of the network state. But as an organization, there will always be, like, especially when it, we started a year and a half ago or something. But the especially when you're new, like, there's always going to be some activities that bring in cash quickly and others don't, but like you overall have kind of a vision where you're trying to take it. And so it makes sense, like, if you're presenting people, contributors, with opportunities where they can also earn money through the kind of brand, reputation, or whatever that you've built as a group, it makes sense to then say, hey, the payment is going through the DAO and you'll get, a part of it, not all of it, so that the DAO needs to have a treasury that needs to have, the DAO has expenses that need to be covered and so forth. So I think that setup makes complete sense. And it's, I guess sometimes I struggle to see how it's different from a company, but I think that mainly comes through the decentralization, and probably also through the what do you call it? Like, people can on average join more in a much more permissionless fashion than in a business, where if you want to join a business, essentially you say, hey, I'm going to apply for this job. And then, some people, like probably 2 or 3 people, decide whether they like your resume. And of course, in DAOs, that works quite a bit differently. Although there is, of course, I mean, usually there is also a membership selection process. So maybe could you guys explain really quick how that works at Dean's List? Because I did see you guys talking about your business visa, for example, but there is an application process involved, right? So how do you balance it between, like, completely open to the world, but at the same time, just, you need a good fit for your organization at the same time?
Yeah, it's a good question. In our experience, effort is the best gatekeeper of all. So, first people have to fill out that form. Usually, if they fill out that form, there's a better likelihood than if they just come into a Discord. But you still will have to do something if you're going to make money to be a contributor. So that's how I differentiate. Like, if people are active, they get recognized, and they become part of the DAO almost all the time, because the visa program is just show us effort, and now it's like, okay, here you have an opportunity to be part of our tasks for 30 days. After those 30 days, if you haven't done any work, you won't have received any compensation, obviously. But almost always the comp is at a very high ratio with the cost of membership. So membership is available either on Coinable or on Tensor. We have an NFT. And that allows you to be part of our workforce all the time. You're now a citizen, and that's represented in our dashboard. So we have an average. This year on average, everybody's made something like $800, $900. It's not like crazy money, but our goal is that we get to a point where it is crazy money. The focus really is that each citizen is able to have work opportunities that allow them to make this a full-time job.
And what helps with the selection of quality members is the fact that we have a very mixed objective. It's a very straightforward. It's feedback giving, and there are managers that collect the feedback and then assess them and check them for duplicates. So it's easier to kind of spot who's valuable, who is just an airdrop hunter, who is there to provide value for the long term. So having a very focused mission is important. being all over the place and trying to execute on many tasks that are unrelated with each other kind of makes the DAO lose its focus, and it makes it much harder to assess the quality members. But yeah, it starts with an application process, but it ends with providing quality work that will pass our standards.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
And this is for the workforce. This is for the people that are the citizens. Anybody can help us make a sale and will receive commission. In everything that we talk about is with USDC. So there's a clear distinction between governance token and governance and a rewards token, which makes things easier. We see who's there to contribute, who's using the token to participate, and who's here just to work.
And going off of that, that's why I like DAOs with these structures in general, because you have the ability to join and just start working, show effort, and get in there. And it's more so like bounties than applying for a job, like you said, Lovis. So yeah, permissions. I really like these structures.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense, and that is largely how we handle it as well at Tokenomics DAO. We've been racking our brains over how to come up with like a framework to see if what people do, like the effort they put forward, like effort is one thing, and then there's like quality of outcomes or like value created, but it's incredibly difficult to measure, is my personal opinion. But there's no quality output without effort, right? So it's, I think I like that you guys have, that you keep it there in a sense, because the quality outputs will come from consistent effort. And so it's much easier to see if somebody's active, right? Even if they're maybe not the best in the world at what they're doing yet, but if they keep going at it, then they'll get better over time, and the quality of the outputs also increase. Sorry, Wales friend, go for it if you want to comment on that.
No, I'm sorry, I left my mic open, but I will add on it by saying that we've made a very conscious decision to focus on one element when it comes to our governance token, and maybe that's gonna allow you to understand more of our tokenomics kind of thinking. Our main goal is keeping high quorum on our DAO. That's not a goal that many DAOs actually set. So we don't care about the liquidity, we don't care about the value, we don't care about the market, we don't care about the distribution as a number, about the amount of coins in circulation. We only care about keeping a high quorum when it comes to decision making for the DAO or on-chain decisions, meaning for those that are new to DAOing, quorum is how much coin do you need from the circulating supply in order to pass a decision. If we have a state elections and only 2 people show up and vote for a party, and that party wins with 2 votes, is that our new government? That's what quorum is here to kind of safeguard. And this is our main objective: keep high quorum, which means make sure that the people that are voting are those that are actually working for the DAO, and that's the only way we've thought of to keep everything aligned.
That's great. I love that you guys have a very clear definition of like what your goals are. That's definitely something where things can get fuzzy because there's so much to do, right? Like the goal of Tokenomics DAO is essentially to build a SaaS, kind of like a SaaS platform or like an online platform where people can design their complete project tokenomics and whatever it might be, protocol or otherwise. And that has been our overarching goal kind of from the beginning, but the path to get there is, you could take 50 paths or 100 paths, so unlimited amount of paths to get to this goal, and every contributor joining might have a different idea of how to get there. And so keeping everybody on the same page strategically is not always easy. So definitely having like clearly set objectives like you guys have definitely helps with that. So I'm not
And this
saying that
is the
we don't have to.
tokenomics objective, as you said. This is not the
Yeah.
objective of the DAO. This is the objective of the tokenomics, which is a very different thing than the objective of the DAO.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. So for your Dean token, that's your main objective, is to have the high governance,
High quorum.
high quorum. Sorry,
Yeah,
yes, high
it's
quorum.
important keyword when it comes to DAOing.
Yeah. You're right. High quorum for your governance decisions. Well, so since we're already talking about Dean's List and using it as an example here, maybe you guys can give me like the complete rundown. So we've already heard bits and pieces, but so I know that Dean's List is a feedback platform, but maybe you can explain, like give me the pitch or give me the rundown, how you would explain it to the space, what Dean's List is and what you guys do.
Yeah, there's a very common graph you can see about like adoption, and there's early adopters, then mainstream users, and then the laggards. And blockchain is definitely still in the early adopter phase, and even within blockchain, there's early adopters, and that's where it came about, where you know we organically are giving our time and our feedback to a lot of these projects. We like doing it. Well, it's also a service. It's also something that's monetizable, especially if it's done in a group setting. So instead of being mercenary like, where individually we would go after bounties or try to help complete some feedback for a whitelist, we got together and we now create this 2-week intense focus group where we go through as a collective with our different perspectives. We go through the app and we document all of our feedback, making videos and screenshots. We also do a product market fit workshop, and that those are really our core um, services. Right now, we really specialize in super new to market um, projects. So right now, every single winner of the Grizzly Thon is going through our program. That's 35 different projects. That is sponsored by the Solana Foundation. We had done this last hackathon, and some of the projects like that we're very proud of, for example, is like Tensor. Tensor, NFT platform that's very popular on Solana. I personally exclusively use Tensor. They were one of our feedback um, clients from the previous hackathon. So we have this DAO that allows people to, instead of go into the Discord and say, "Hey, it would be really cool if you had this," and usually not see that change even happen. Here they can be part of a group where they come in, they write that, probably get some money for it too, and most likely have the change actually happen. So I think it helps solve problems from multiple angles. It solves the problem of these early adopters not really having a way to make this something that they want to do permanently. It's a valuable passion that they have. So this is a solution for them, and it's a solution for these early projects that really need this specialized feedback to really understand the potential they have and find that product market fit that's going to help them scale.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, every project needs this, right? Essentially, the parallels between the startup world in general and Web3 are manifold. And at the end of the day, every successful project that has ever launched in or outside of Web3 has probably had high value advisors or has received high value advice. There's rarely a story where somebody just magically figures it out. So I think that's a really powerful opportunity, I guess, that you're offering, and you have found a way to productize it. So now, how do you use your tokens and NFTs to drive this objective, I guess, or this value that you create in your DAO? How do you use your tokens, your tokenomics, so to say, to grow and to make this proliferate in the world?
That's a very timely question. We actually have a competition about this right now, because the status quo is very much governance oriented, as Whale's friend mentioned before, and we want to look at some other options. So today, having the NFT, you can stake it and receive more of the governance token, and at the same time, it grants you full membership in the DAO to be able to partake in all of our different activities. And then the token itself, it gives you the membership, but also you use it for governance. So it's how we disagree on the different initiatives, how we're going to spend our funds, etc. So that's where we are today. But we're looking at that. We see issues with it. That's why I'm also excited about this conversation with you guys. With Tokenomics now, it's something that we're we internally, as a DAO, we've come up with some ideas, but we'd love to get more, because we have an interesting situation. We are a DAO that did not fundraise, and yet we have a treasury and it's growing, and we pay people because our service is valuable. So with that, we're still fairly young. Is there a need for an NFT? Is there an NFT and token combination that makes sense? We think there are. But yeah, I'd love to hear some ideas or make that a discussion for, it'd be very valuable to us.
Yeah, so as it stands, you guys please check out our tokenomics hub, tokenomicshub.xyz. There's a ton of resources that we've corralled from all over the internet, from consulting projects that we've done in the past that are purely tokenomics focused. But I think there's a lot of parallels in what we do between Dean's List and Tokenomics DAO, in the sense that at the core of it, a token cannot create value by itself. There's always a product or a service that has to go along that is the actual value creation mechanism, so to say. And then a token can be a tool, if it is designed correctly, to accrue some of this value, right? So to capture some of this value. And this is kind of the core piece that we study in Tokenomics DAO is, well, how do you structure the token mechanics so that they can effectively capture some of the value? And I mean, it seems like a narrow question, but the answer is many hundreds of papers and articles written, and feedback sessions given, and every protocol that we work with has a different objective, even though overall there's a lot of parallels, right? Everybody wants their token to be healthy, so to say, and not be a pump and dump or whatever. Not everybody wants this, but most people that work with us want that. And but yeah, how do you create that? So
we could do a cross feedback session where you give us feedback for our tokenomics, and we give you feedback for your product, your platform, your user journey.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's an opportunity here. We should explore that. Absolutely. I think it goes also to the spirit of collaboration in general, right, in Web3. So we should absolutely do this. And of course, I don't know if you're aware, but so this space being recorded also goes out to our premium subscribers on Substack with the summary in text. So a lot of people will listen to this and read about this anyway. So I think doing follow up on that will be fantastic for both of us. So I like the NFT token combination you guys have, and I understand that it's currently you're kind of trying to reevaluate what you have. But just so maybe when you got started, so why did you opt for NFT and token combination? there's a lot of reasons why I could argue that that's a good choice. I'm just curious what your initial thoughts were on that.
It was just one of those things that happened. We start with the token. We actually start with a bonded token, as Wales had brought up before. But the NFT came about just as a cool thing to try out, learn about NFTs, and that brought us to discovering staking components that we've set up. So it was more of an experiment that now we're looking at and saying, okay, what can we do with these tools?
It's all experiments, to be honest, and we are traditionally traditional, let's say, DAOers that started from token governance as by being the default standard. Afterwards, with the Solana season and the NFT narrative building up, we saw the birth of NFT voting. And we experimented as well with NFT voting, and we had our conclusions of what is scalable, what is fair, what is plutocratic, and how we can change these things. And we kind of went back to coin governance. Both work for different kind of tasks, but when it comes to short duration initiatives, tokens work better. When it comes to long-term votes and proposals, NFTs sometimes work better from the token. So we just needed both dimensions to be able to work on.
So my experience with applying NFTs is limited, but so from the thoughts that I've had about it and from some of the work that I've done is that NFTs are a fantastic tool for kind of creating this it's hard to, I don't know what the correct word is, but it's like this community feeling, right? Because an NFT, if assuming it's a visual, right? If it's a visual image, it does help to identify a community, for example, on social media, which has a psychological effect on the members that they can say like, hey, I am part of this and I can also show it. NFTs can also have excellent fundraising mechanisms that I think are still, I mean, we've kind of seen like the tip of the iceberg of what's possible with that in the last cycle, but I think there's still a lot more that can be explored. And I think in that sense, it can be a great bootstrapping mechanism, how a community can launch from zero and fundraise effectively. But of course, some thought needs to go into that. And that was like an interesting discussion that we had on our side was, well, do NFTs have tokenomics as well? And of course, the answer is yes, they do. It's just different than tokens, right? Because there's not. Sorry, go ahead.
Everything is a token. Some are fungible, some are non-fungible. We just attached images to the fungible ones to create a sense of uniqueness and make them more personal. But they're all tokens. They're all divisible in a way. And even if you start from an NFT DAO and an NFT governance schema, you can definitely transition, even with current tools, to a token governance. But as Dean said, we've experimented quite a lot with bonding curves and backed tokens. And that's why we ended up having a dual model with an NFT and a token. We just ditched the bonding curve and the experiments on the backing of tokens just because the toolset was not in place. Maybe in the future, or maybe with the help of tokenomics and pressure from the market, we can have some kind of engine that removes speculation from governance tokens.
Sorry, just a second. That's really interesting that your main thing was that the tools necessarily weren't in place to do what you wanted to do. We just lost Dean here for a second, so I'm just trying to get him back in here. So I sent another co-host invite. All right, we got him back. Dean, are you with us?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. So you guys mentioned already the competition. Is there anything else that kind of the audience should know about? So this is an open invite, right? There's a price that you guys set for this. Is there a URL people should go to or someplace they should check out if they want to participate?
You're gonna have to see that original tweet. I can share it and tag you guys later, or if anybody listening can, please just tweet it. Tweet the criteria and the information in that thread I prepared. As far as what else we have to do, we have right now, I believe, Ahmed, who's in the audience, he's the golden horse there, the orange horse. He's also tweeted about, I believe there's $2,300 worth of activities like right now. So it's not like in the future or grants that we're going to have. Like right now, somebody can come in, complete the visa program. The visa program is basically a form, and we're very fast in our turnaround there. We've had the fastest person from zero to hero, I think it's been 15 days. In other words, 15 days ago they entered the server, and then today they got paid. So it's, we're pretty proud of how fast things can happen. It's really just meant for people who are passionate about the space and doing these kind of things. That's why I think it worked really well. A lot of people were doing this anyway.
Yeah, it's an open invitation to anybody that wants to get their hands dirty and play around with dApps and has a wallet and is okay is fine to provide some feedback for the alpha versions or even pitch decks that we have access to. Yeah, that's it. They should hop on the Discord, buy an NFT, get a membership from Coinable, ask a friend to get them the public feedback form, anything. There are 100 ways to participate. All they need to do is express their willingness and show some effort when it comes to work, not effort in spamming memes and GMs.
Effort that can lead to an output. High value.
Exactly.
Really cool. So perfect. So what would you say then is next for Dean's List? So I know we've already talked about the visa program, this concept of increasing GDP. So how do you guys go about this specifically? Is this essentially just means you're looking for more clients to give feedback to, or what other activities are you?
We are in a very fortunate place where we're actually looking for more people to work, where we have a queue of projects that are hitting our dashboard and require feedback, extensive feedback. Solana has done an amazing job organizing hacker houses around the world and hackathons. So quality projects, quality teams, lots of devs. It's like too many devs, not enough users. So we're looking for people mostly. Of course, salespeople, salesmen, projects that want to cooperate are welcome. But our main objective here is to expand our workforce. So yeah, that's our main objective. That's why the invitation is a warm and loud invitation for people to come join us. There is USDC to be made and lots of cool vibes.
Great. Well, that's a great place to be in. What well, the last point here on the agenda is latest feedback clients. I mean, you guys have mentioned that you're pretty exclusively in the Solana ecosystem, but is that the case? Maybe you can mention one or two of your kind of, what do you call it, marquee, like your famous projects that you guys have worked with, just to entice people even more to join.
We've worked with all the superstars in Solana. We've worked with all the grand winners of hackathons. We've worked with Tensor. We've worked with Underdog. With these are all protocols, newer protocols that received grand prizes from the latest Solana hackathons. Now, when it comes to cross-chain projects, we've worked with Signally, which is a signal service for trading bots that usually works with BSC and Ethereum, Binance Chain and Ethereum. And we've worked with not many cross-chain. This is our newest chapter, but anything that has to do Solana, we've worked with. We've managed to be a very important tool when it comes to developing the Solana ecosystem.
Right, and Backpack is Solana homegrown, but it's also cross-chain, the Backpack wallet.
Indeed. Another Solana superstar backpack.
Nice. And so you're also, I mean, so basically the agenda has concluded, but now I have just a general question. You guys are using the tools in the Solana ecosystem to build your own tokenomics, and like, I mean, obviously tokenomics always starts from like a theoretical place, but then eventually it has to be translated into, well, how does this smart contract actually work, right? And so I'm not familiar with Solana whatsoever personally. So how would you describe like the tool landscape? How hard is it to translate these like theoretical concepts into an actual contract?
Really easy. Yeah. That's one of the problems I've had in trying to go into other chains is a lot of what we do. It's just so much easier on Solana. So token issuance is very different than an EVM chain. So you could use a multi-sig like Realms or Squads. Those are DAO and multi-sig platforms. You can mint a token in I don't know 5 minutes. You know, from ideation, you know, you put in how many tokens you want to make, the decimals, stuff like that. Now, you know, then you're gonna want to go make a token DAO. You go to Realms. Onboarding says, okay, which token do you want to target? Put in the address. Pulls all the information from the blockchain, and then, you know, go ahead and make your own DAO. You get to choose, you know, what quorum do you want? Do you want it to have a security council? It's what's great is it's all been built out, and if anybody's interested, you know, really very supportive community. You can go into the Realms Discord. You can come into Dean's List Discord. You can be up and running with your own token, your own DAO in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's really different from the Ethereum and the Ethereum clones because the issuance of a token is not tied to a smart contract, meaning that you don't need to set the rules of the issuance within a program that will be perpetually running and emitting coins. You can do it through the console and just say, like super simplified, /mint that many coins through that address as long as you control the private key. So this creates, of course, limitations when it comes to EVM projects and EVM technology coming to Solana, but it also helps a lot of newer to the space people just get their first kind of steps into this ecosystem. Tooling is quite well, let's say, developed in Solana. Especially when it comes to governance tooling. I think the specific L1 encourages governance experiments just because of the cheap transactions, and when transactions are not tied to monetary rewards, then you don't have that much reason to spend on transaction fees just to voice your opinion. So it works well with Solana. On the other hand, it's not as developed as Ethereum. Liquidity is lower, but that's why we're here. We're working on bringing more of those awesome Ethereum tools translated to Solana and vice versa.
Really good, really cool. Yeah, I mean, it is super important to have good tooling, right? So otherwise, you might have the grandest vision, but if you can't figure out how to translate it into tech, then it's hard to scale it. So that was great. Thank you for that little insight into the Solana ecosystem. I appreciate that. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add? Otherwise, I think we're kind of close to hitting our time, and I think we could wrap it up. But more than happy to have you guys add anything that's missing.
No, this was great. I really appreciate the agenda and the conversation. It was it's always good to see people questioning these definitions. So I also appreciate getting to talk about the distinction between a network state and a DAO. Looking forward to collaboration with Tokenomics DAO.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely follow up on that. Yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the time and hanging out with us today here at the space. And thank you to our 3 guests for taking the time and explaining all about your project and what you got going on. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunity there. So anybody listening and getting excited about that, please check out Dean's List DAO. And join and make some money.
Yep, no code solution. No need to be a coder, just to be one of us. A degen.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. Great. Well, have a good rest of your day, and happy Monday, everybody, and talk soon. See you guys soon everywhere in the ecosystem.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great one, guys.
Bye, guys.